1984 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Four
I,
words that you would never think would be the greatest thing to ever be assembled.
yeah, no kidding. And then before either of us was born too, which is crazy. Um,
On our heels.
Written and drawn by the legendary Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
Multimillionaires.
Yeah, oh yeah, by now. I mean, they've sold the property, but that's why it bounces all over the place. But I mean, fuck, for a passion project that was just a knockoff of Daredevil,
Yeah.
they did pretty good for themselves. They had to make up their own, like it says Mirage Studios. They made that up because they needed a publishing company.
To actually produce it, but considering that
Yeah,
they produced it in their apartment and actually like wrote, inked,
yeah,
and mass produced everything,
yeah.
it's possible. Like, yeah, that's good that you have your own production company. That just makes sense to everything.
That's crazy though. Imagine that just you and I just like in an apartment, just making a passion project and then it blowing
It
up.
really veering off of this arc analysis.
I am. I absolutely am. Yes, you're absolutely right.
It's into dreams of like, hey man,
Because it's so cool to me. Like and you can tell by this issue because it's 50 pages or almost 50 pages, 40 something pages, 42 pages. So it's longer than your traditional comic. And they didn't think that they were going to go beyond this. That they wanted to, but they were just
yeah,
kind of,
this is a kitchen sink comic. They get the A to Z, but
yeah,
because of that, like as a fan reading that, you're like, oh my gosh, like how do you not? It's such a like one of the best page turners.
it is. And the way it's written too, you can see the way the flows, the way it ends too. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
they're going for it all. Like
yeah.
we are saying before we even started, like this comic is kind of a blueprint to those that would ever want to start a comic because it's very like heavy wording driven, but the paneling is done isolated to a scene. Like you're not going to get a lot of action, but you're going to get a lot of close up, or these are all the characters that need to be in this specific scene.
Right. Yeah.
And then all the exposition and dialogue is just going to keep moving you from panel to panel. So
Yeah.
you like it's a perfect mix when you factor in all of the negative space and then just the black and white that these guys managed to make so distinct for this style, right? These are the first time. This is the first time you're getting this style of comic, let alone this type of comic in
Yeah.
1984.
Yeah. 1984 seems like forever ago. What do you think of the art here?
Well, like piggybacking on that, considering it's just these two guys out of their basement. I'm just gonna say out of their basement because it makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's so clean.
Yeah.
They understand like clearly like they understand perspective and they went to art school because like they know how to do depth of like cityscape, but like they'll take their time on characters and how they're drawn. Like Splinter has the most line work, but it makes sense for hair.
Yep.
But the Ninja Turtles are the second like most detailed with their shells, but like all the humans are pretty like stark.
Yeah.
It's just like a blank face and
Yeah.
then their clothing, Foot Clan,
It's almost like a
robes or
it's almost like
Shredder's claw.
it's almost like a default face, and they just kind of change the features around.
Right. But they
Yeah.
know where the emphasis needs to be on this comic, right? So they know when to pull the line stroke and when to go heavy on it too. And then a lot with the negative space. Like the reason it's such a great page turner is because it breathes. They needed 52 pages to say everything they wanted to say.
42. Yeah.
Or 42, yeah, my bad. And they didn't try to cram it in every page. Like some pages are just like Ninja Turtles jumping into action scenes as they like kick through the night.
Yeah. It's very noir. It's very like dark, and it's not super super dark, but it's a lot more grounded than the Turtles cartoon that we grew up on. Like it's much more
Yeah,
mature, right?
and grounded is such an odd word to use to
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It is. It's bizarre. But and it opens up from Leonardo's
Do you
perspective,
want
which is cool.
yeah, do you want to tell a little about the story there?
Yeah, well,
The first time we ever got to meet the turtles.
yeah, the four turtles, you know, they opens from Leo's perspective and they're fighting the Foot Clan. And the story is very similar to it's not the same, but it's very similar to the 90s movie.
Right.
And you get in the first few pages, Splinter tells them all about like their origins and where Hamada Yoshi's love was murdered by someone named Oroku Nagi, who was then killed in revenge by Yoshi, right? And Oroku Nagi isn't Oroku Saki, as we know who the Shredder is. It's actually his brother. So it's almost like, which we never knew from the movie,
The
right?
cartoon
There was
or the
what's that?
movie, yeah.
Yeah, he was taken out. That was never so, which
Right.
makes more sense when it's just Rokusaki. But I guess I don't know why they would take that out. But
Well, anytime they like translate it to like TV or film, they always try to streamline it to as least amount of extra characters.
yeah, it's a little cleaner. It's definitely a more direct route.
But fair enough. But I will say about the actual comic, it shows how much of importance Splinter is, like right off the bat. Like
Yes.
he's a pivotal character.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always happen in more iterations of the Ninja Turtles. The fact that he's basically breaking down science, and he's like the father figure, and he's giving the reader the background.
Yeah.
Like how do you not invested with Splinter?
Exactly. Yeah, and so because it opens up from Leo's point of view when they're fighting the purple dragons, and then it goes basically right down to the sewer, and Splinter just gives you everything, gives you the reader everything of how, like, the whole backstory about how Yoshi's love was murdered by Nagi, who was then killed in revenge by Yoshi, and then having killed the fellow clan member, he took off to New York because he's like, I killed a fellow clan member, so they're gonna hunt me now.
Yeah, can't stay
And what's that?
broke the law, can't stay here.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Oroku Saki, who the Shredder is, he came after him. He became the Shredder. They just say, they kind of short form, he became a Shredder in New York, built a drug empire, and ended up killing Yoshi, but stayed there in New York. And Yoshi had a pet rat who ended up becoming Splinter when the ooze fell on him.
And Eastman and Laird were smart enough to cover their basis. If you make it a drug like syndicate, then at least you have money and like influence coming into your operation.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a mythical group of ninjas called the Foot, and you'd never really question like where do they get these purple suits from.
Yeah, that's very true. That's actually, yeah, I like that better. How he was like a lost. I'm gonna say lost in parentheses, but he's a lost like ninja soldier that came to New York. It was like he came here to honor his brother, and then realized, you know what, I can build an empire here. So I'm just gonna kick it. So he just stayed and built his own empire.
He goes left field with that green TCRI.
Yeah,
which is an awesome left twist to the story, right? If you didn't see that, it was actually like a Ninja Turtle fighting and then a giant rat explaining the story. The fact that how that became was just this special little vial that wasn't supposed to be released, fell into a sewer, or 4 baby turtles running around in it.
What was really cool with this issue too is reading it, is because we all know it's a love letter or homage to Daredevil, and in that scene that he's talking about, they frame it like it was actually the ooze came off of the actual truck that hit Daredevil, that hit Matt Murdock. Like they have the kid walking, he's blind, whatever, and then the guy swerves, and the ooze, that same ooze that hit Matt Murdock, actually went down the sewers and turned these guys. So that's kind of cool. They couldn't name him because they didn't have the rights to him, but it's very obvious that it was like him.
Instead of street level, they took it to the sub-basement sewers, and that's where so it's quite actually like literally piggybacking, but in the best way, because you get that nice little panel of Splinter actually gathering up the little turtles into a coffee can.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they go into, and this is with no color, right? Like this is a black and white. So
yeah, so none of the turtles have colors, right?
All the effects that that we now take for granted because we've seen movies and cartoons of just how these guys formed. The fact that it was just bare bones, and they went from small little turtles to like little tiny walking turtles, and then eventually all geared up with their masks and then their weapons. And their weapons was the most important, I feel, to describe them. Like that's how you learn who Ninja Turtles are before colors came through, right?
Because they're all drawn the exact same. All 4 of them look exactly the same except for their weapons.
They're 4 turtles.
Yeah. Michelangelo's not nearly as jokey in this.
Well, like the sizes are different, like scale views, like which later iterations. But here, the first one, they're all 4 turtles, the 4 brothers.
Yep.
The only difference is the weaponry, and like that's so, and the names obviously. But that's so amazing that obviously you have the sai, the bow staff, the nunchucks, and swords.
Yeah. The katana, which is sick. And then Raph takes over narration duties halfway through, right? When they're there, he goes to deliver Shredder a message.
Yeah, that's where like the mood changes too, because he
Yeah.
has all these moments where he's either perched on the corner of a like apartment building, like staring dark into the night. So again, a nod to Daredevil, who also has those brooding moments when he's looking over the city and deciding how he's going to exact his not revenge, just his form of justice.
Justice.
Yeah, there you go.
Justice. Although my
Definitely
mother.
see Ryan saying that stuff.
Yeah.
I also there's a quote that I didn't really like though, in a great panel where it's stark black night. He's in the foreground in his pose, and then you see like a couple buildings in the background. So like a great,
Raphael?
yeah, where he says, the air tonight, I love it. I despise the dank, dark underground. My brothers don't seem to mind it, but this is where I belong. Such a feeling of freedom, so much room to move about. What do you mean the dank, dark underground?
He despises the dank.
Shots fired.
Raphael.
Raphael, he just moved to the bottom of my draft list for Ninja Turtles.
And the way he says it right on the same page too, when he's talking about, he's like, I am Raphael, and Master Splinter chose me for this task. He sounds so much more militant in this book, rather than there's so much more. What's that?
Credit to the writers. They understood that although they have weapons in their own names, like the archetypes that they're going to build, like you could start to see the division or the rivalry between Leonardo and Raphael in the first like early pages, right?
Yep. But they're not the fun-loving teens that they're more like.
Well, they're teens, right?
They're more like moody teens.
Yeah. Teen. You want to say teens again?
I don't want to see teens again. It makes it feel weird.
Teens.
We get the rooftop fight.
Which is
after
awesome.
The message, because remember Raphael's message, he throws it. We're gonna spoil the whole thing here, so fuck it. But he throws the sigh during Shredder's business deal, and it fucks up the deal. It like scares his business partners off.
And then he just goes to start kicking ass to everyone that's still in the meeting.
Yeah, and I will say I'm glad that Shredder wasn't decked out in his armor during the deal. He was.
Yeah, writers understood that he has like a dayside, nightside, alter ego.
Yeah, so it was actually Oroku Saki in like a suit, not Oroku Saki in the shred head stuff, which a lot, like even today, that would probably happen where he would just be in costume making a business deal.
Yeah, that's the one thing they're like, he never turns it off. Like once they gave him that scar, like that was the one thing that he always had to protect, and it turned into more of a like ego pride driven thing. That like, I'm always the Shredder.
But he and the Foot show up on our roof to battle the turtles, and he uses the Foot soldiers to soften them up.
Which is the smartest.
Yeah, which is the smartest way. Yeah. Shredder dukes it out with Raph. And one at a time, right?
Come face your doom. Yeah. The honor code and obviously the tradition, ninjutsu. Like, there's a whole martial arts behind it. Like there's always a tradition. So like the back science behind why this Ronin warrior who became like a drug lord crime boss still wants to fuck these dudes up, but there's an honor to it. Like you have to fight me correctly if you want to defeat me.
This is a long fight too. It goes on for a while.
As it should be, right?
Which is like cool, yeah.
This is your one and done because you don't know if there's a tomorrow. You want to make all your characters shine. And going back to the artwork, it's specifically like a one shot of like charging, then like weapons meeting, and then like how Shredder's turning the tables. Like there's no wasted paneling.
No, the backgrounds are very muted. It's just white or those old comic dots, right? During this break, because they want you focusing on the combatants, right?
The action, again, the perfect blueprint. Like this is not where you need to be telling a story with your backgrounds or where they are. It's pay attention to the action that's happening and your characters that you already started invested in. So, and then simple dialogue too, right? Like, yes, so I see.
Yeah,
they're good men, my best. When Shredder's talking about how the Turtles easily defeated the Foot, but now he's got to go up against them.
And they throw shit at him too, right? They throw like shurikens and little knives and stuff because he dummies them one at a time.
Yeah, he's the better warrior.
Yeah, up until Leo, right? And Leo's kind of like, no, we can't do it like this. We gotta come as a team. We gotta come as turtles.
Leo with the strategy, because if Leo's the leader and you assume trained the most, at least the top skilled fighter, he reversed what Shredder did. He sent his not subs, but he sent his brothers first to wear him down, and then he went in with the strong fist, right? So. How'd you like
how he just whipped out a grenade randomly? That was pretty fucking cool, right?
Slashes his mask
Thermite
off.
grenade, yeah.
Slashes his mask off his face. Slashes his helmet off. Like he goes to like dumb him.
Yeah.
And then that's how Orokusaki gets the scars across his face, right? Like the true dishonor.
And it's actually Donnie who finishes him off too, right?
He throws the bow staff at him.
Yeah, he throws the bow staff, hits him right in the kisser.
Even before that, though, like Leo is like, okay, as they have Orokusaka on his knees. He tries to give him the katana and is like, yo, finish it yourself, right? Like, this is your chance to get honor.
Yeah.
And Shredder still says, never! And then Donnie's like, all right.
yeah, that's when he grabs
the bow staff. It just jaws him. So good.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They actually, yeah, you're right. They tell him to commit suicide. And he's like,
do the honorable thing. Like, if the Warriors, you were defeated. Yeah. And then they're like, nah. And then he falls off a roof.
He just falls off a roof.
Like, it's such the opposite of, like, honor. Like, defeat yourself with honor, become, like, a warrior, like, move forth. They're like, nah, I'm just going to push off the roof. Like, then just straight New York. Like, yo, push out the roof.
There's no dumpster to save him.
Nope. No little trapeze, what's it, the awning to bounce off of. None of that.
Which is crazy because like we said too, they went for it all here because they weren't sure if they were going to.
There was no tomorrow.
Have one issue or not. Like there's one out, and then that's that, and this shit blew up. So they already killed the Shredder in the first episode, in the first issue.
Which is amazing and hilarious when you think of comic logic, because we've already covered how many returned from the dead characters. Yeah. And Shredder's was such like an amazing character that nobody wanted to keep. Like even the movies, like they can't even keep him dead for one movie.
No, because he's amazing. And then this one series went on to be 62 issues, so on its own, just this year. So,
and this is issue number 1.
Yeah, one passion, and there's the whole arc is in one issue, which you don't see these days in either, right? So,
well, 1984. It's fair to call this one of the first graphic novels, right?
Yeah,
or at least one of the most important graphic novels, because I don't know how far graphic novels go, but this one is definitely impactful for what the Turtles are today and how they could now start telling comics. Because we had seen superheroes. Superheroes is not a new concept.
No.
And you had seen like martial arts to an extent, right? But to add such a level that like for kids is instantly identifiable and like you want to like just find out more about, for mutated teenage ninja Turtles, like golden gold on gold.
This is a staple comic, a classic comic, and any comic fan should read this. Just like you were saying from Jump, just as a blueprint. This is what. If
you want to understand comics or understand like how to create a comic, I feel like this is definitely one of the first ones you should take a look at. Especially if you don't even know there's going to be a tomorrow, right? Like that, the end on their 40th page is them saying like, we did it.
Yep.
And even after that, they still gave like a personal letter to like their whole story.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I feel helped their whole, I don't want to say brand, but like just the push, because comic book readers are comic book fans, and comic book fans all feel like underdogs. Like half the reason we love superhero comics is like it's the underdog rising to the occasion for whatever reason and like saving the day. So the fact that these guys even added another personal touch on it just showed how much they were invested in like the comic book community and comic books as a whole.
Yeah, it's great. It's, I don't know, it's a simple read, but it's dense at this. I don't know. There's so much lore in this one issue, and there's so much that you're not told, but you kind of understand that's part of a bigger picture. And it's so straightforward. Like we were saying during the fights, the background is so muted that it's like it's just a style you don't see anymore, and it's so simple yet so effective all at the same time. It's such a delight to read. It's not overdone. There's not too many words. There's not too many. It's just so straightforward. This is the issue. These are the players. They're gonna fight.
And it's a great story.
Yeah,
like you're invested in each character and how they got to this spot.
Yeah, I mean Donnie and Mikey get almost no characterization, but still, you get it.
And to piggyback off that, right? Like, no one can not read this without some sort of association with the Ninja Turtles. Like, and that's the credit to this first comic, right? Like, if you do the polar result, like if you want to go back and read this, you're already coming with like a fair bit of like Ninja Turtle information, because it's everywhere. Like everyone knows the Ninja Turtles. So to read how like the foundations of how it started, like how it unfolded,
really,
and then understand, like we talk about generational, but like we're on our fourth iteration of like Ninja Turtles in the media, and it's not like
in just comics. Or are you talking about in general?
Again, like I don't know that scale. We'll talk about that more maybe in the episode. But
Yeah.
for this comic, this is what started everything, and you now know what everything is because it's how many years later? 1984. We're still talking about
36 years.
Still talking about it.
It's fucking crazy. 36, almost 40 years ago.
Two guys in the basement.
Jesus, two guys in the basement. So you gotta. This is a big boom for me. If we're talking boom or bust.
This is the most easiest boom we could ever give.
Yeah, I know. And we almost ended it without even saying it because it was implied.
Hey man, this is a very special week if you guys haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, our keg week. Yeah, because this will be the first one that drops. So this is the keg week of the Turtles.
If you didn't know, we're kind of Ninja Turtle fans. So
yeah, we sneak in. If you follow us, our regular Comic Patrol pod, you'll see that we'll sneak in a Turtle episode once every 8 to 10 weeks.
Yeah. Between us talking about like, hey man, you should check out this Turtle comic. I'm like, all right, Turtle Power. Yeah. Or the whatever GIF where someone's saying cowabunga.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I'm just gonna say it's my favorite.
It's the Turtles. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's it. Boom.